Hello, everybody, and welcome to Local Gems. This is a show where we are going to talk to local individuals and business owners who are making the community that we live in just a little bit more special. I'm really excited. I'm going to try to do this every single Tuesday and bring you another business or individual to highlight. Today, with school starting and especially the school sports season, I thought that the perfect guest to have would be my good friend and sometimes partner and collaborator Shane Belanger from Westerly.Live and Nomad Web Solutions. Hey Shane, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Ben. How are you?
I have no complaints. It's a beautiful day. I decided to spend the entire day working outside, and I'm excited about it. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now with well, let's take the the 30,000-foot view first.
Okay.
Tell us so for anybody who doesn't know, Shane was the founder of Westerly.Live and ran that for a long time and was very successful at that. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what you've done and what you're doing now.
Sure. Yes, as you mentioned, Westerly.Live, which was a blog I started about 5 years ago. I was able to sell that off because I knew live streaming, as we all know now, is pretty much the future of communication. We're moving towards those hybrid models, which many people were thinking that's the way things were going to go, and lo and behold, that's the way things are going. Live streaming is not going anywhere, which is really good because it's a fascinating and amazing technology. It allows us to bring events to people as opposed to bringing people to events now, which is great, especially for what we're doing now, because you mentioned with the Westerly High School athletic program, we are now live streaming all of the home varsity games at the Westerly High School for all the major sports. So right now we're kicking it off with the first game tonight, which is the girls varsity soccer team. They're playing the Johnston Panthers at Westerly High School. We'll be streaming that live to Westerly.Live, which is our live streaming platform for the Westerly area. That starts tonight at 6 o'clock. And you can go to Westerly.Live to where you can get the schedule. And we're utilizing Facebook's event scheduler, which is it's quick. It works, and it allows us to reach our user base very quickly. So that's where we maintain our schedule, so it's off of the website. Because the big thing, I'm also a web developer. You mentioned Nomad Web Solutions. The big thing is you want to keep people on your site. You want those sites to load and load quickly, and you don't want any clutter. So that's kind of why we separate things out.
I love it. So the live streaming of the sports games is incredible, not only because of the fact that it's like you look at some college sports networks, and they're doing less quality work than what was happening last year with the varsity basketball and the football games. Like the product that you're putting out for Westerly High School sports is legitimately unbelievable how good it is. So that's number one. But besides that, right? Like I played football in high school, and my grandmother, who lived with me, never got the opportunity to come see one of my games. She would have loved to, but she walked with a cane and she had a bad hip, and she was, by the time I was playing football, she was in her early 80s. And but she would have been able to watch all of my games now, and that's insane to me. Like that's incredible. And my uncles who live in North Carolina and Tennessee, who would have loved to have seen me play sports, would have been able to watch those games, and that's incredible. Parents who have to like rush home from work or like whatever, they can still support their kids, which is fantastic. And to those family members who might not feel comfortable right now going out and being in a sports environment, especially during the winter and basketball and stuff, like One of the wonderful things about having your office in downtown Westerly is the constant noise of
Oh,
traffic and
you can
sirens.
hear
Yeah,
that? Yeah.
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 But anyway, like this is really valuable to everybody involved, right?
It is. And the stories we were hearing from last year, because we started on January 26th, actually, and back up a little bit. We originally started back in, I want to say 2017, with Chad Dexter, who was working with Westerly.Live at the time. He wanted to live stream the Turkey Day game. So that was our very first venture into live streaming of sports. We had 17,000 views, and it was just on a phone. It was fantastic. So we rolled that into the next season. Where we did every single game. And again, still on a phone. The live streaming technology at that time, it was still, as you know, it was still expensive. It was still a fringe marketing tool used by marketers because it was new. So primarily we stuck to the phone. We just used software and other little things to make that phone better. But of course, when the pandemic hit, we had this discussion before, Ben. I was still stuck in the phone zone. I didn't see any reason why we had to get off of a phone to live stream. And then you taught me about capture cards and using real cameras, and then my eyes were open. And of course, I ran with it. And now the technology is relatively inexpensive compared to what it was before, or maybe I didn't even know at that time because I was looking someplace else, and now I'm looking in the right direction. Here you go. Here's one of our streams. Oh, and yes, this was an away game. For the football team, we are doing all of the away games as well. So we're doing the home and away games for football. If any of the squads make it to the playoffs or postseason, we will be traveling for those games as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, now, like with anything else, there are a few players in this arena for the high school sports area. And one of the players owns the companies. They have pretty much a dominant hold on live streaming of the sports. So we're seeing the high school sports arena start to trying to work itself out. There's a lot of things that moving parts. There's a lot of people and companies who want to be able to live stream the sports. So we're just going to keep doing what we're doing with our free model, using local sponsors, which works. It works very well. There are some models where you have to pay to watch the games. We're never going to do that. We want this to be free for the parents, grandparents, friends. And since we're talking about that, you brought that up earlier. We have a lot of great stories from parents, even from the opposing teams.
If you reach right over the top of Bert.
Oh, this was great. This is when we
at the foul line, muscles his way down the lane, a lot of contact, and
we teamed up with WBLQ for this, so we brought in their play-by-play into our live streams. It was great.
Nice.
Delta looked like a fullback that time.
So we had family members from across the pond over in England and France were watching their family members play the sports they love to play. I remember a couple of years ago, we had soldiers who were stationed in Turkey who graduated from Westerly High School who were watching the Westerly High School football games. And it was a great morale booster for them. And they used to contact us on Facebook telling, thank you for this. This is great. And of course, now we can broadcast in full HD, which is amazing. It just blows my mind that we can do this now to the internet.
And that's one of the benefits. So the reason, obviously, there are several reasons why all games are available at Westerly.Live and not just on Facebook. Like, number one is the quality. On Westerly.Live, you're getting full HD quality streaming, which is not something that Facebook even offers. Little known fact, Facebook does not offer the full 1080p live streaming.
Exactly.
Secondly, there's so many things, right? Like sometimes these sports games play live music, and then the live ambient music in the background could shut down your stream on Facebook, erroneously shut down your stream, and that's terrible. So in the middle of a playoff game or something, so you can't do that. But so Westerly.Live is an amazing platform. It all also lives right there. Like it's perfectly there. And if you missed the game from last night, you can go catch it. You can go, basketball looks great. Let me see what baseball looks like. And that's incredible. One of my questions about this also is that I, thinking back now to being a high school athlete, and it certainly was not me, but a lot of my friends, like you're putting together tape, like game tape, for highlight reels for colleges and et cetera, et cetera. And for everybody that's at Westerly that's playing these sports that are hoping for scholarships, having this high quality, it looks like you're playing at a college already, highlight reel ability to take these things and then do that, you already have a leg up. So it's literally giving the kids a leg up on college by having a more high quality video to send to colleges, which is like, there's nothing. And scouts don't need to come to the game, so scouts are more able to do it. It's insane how on every different level this is beneficial for the entire town of Westerly and for the kids of Westerly and beyond.
It's amazing. And yes, there were a lot of student athletes who were using these. They were pointing college recruiters to Westerly.Live to go watch them play. I remember one game last year, it was a softball game, and Westerly was playing Rogers, and the Rogers catcher approached our camera operator, Lisa, and says, "Where can we watch this? Because she was going to college and she wanted to let the recruiters see her playing in the game." So you're absolutely right. And we're just scratching the surface here. This is absolutely amazing. I think high school sports is going to be the next big thing, not just monetarily. Business is business. It's always going to unfold. It's going to find the best, most efficient way to make this happen. But on so many other levels now, just, parents and family can now watch. Just like you said, if they're too busy to go to the game or they're feeling uncomfortable to go to the game with these new variants.
Snagged by Palm. Yeah. Beautiful play. Flip the second.
Go
to the first. Double play.
That was great. Nice find right there. And of course, you heard Greg Morano, who is the voice of all of our games, doing the play-by-play commentary. Does a fantastic job. He played for Westerly back in the day.
I want to go back a second on this, because right before that happened, I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Yeah, this right here, these picture, this is what I'm talking about though. When I'm talking about like the ridiculous quality of all of this, like this is fantastic. This is not someone with a handy cam sitting up in the stands, and it's fantastic. It's really it's at an elite level. It's at a college level and beyond. So, like, kudos to you for putting this all together. One thing that I wanted to mention is that you said you were doing this on phones. You started on phones with the Thanksgiving Day game, etc., for the football. And when the pandemic started, you were like, we can, and by the way, when I say phones, I don't mean like Shane had like an iPhone 4S and was like trying to film it. Like the guy, when I met him, he was like, okay, so I have two phones.
I went with the high-end phones.
Yeah. Like he was like, okay, so I have like 4 of the newest phone, and we'll put those in here and here and here, and like, I'm like, how many phone contracts do you have? Anyway, the point the point was though, like, yeah, I made the suggestion to you for like one thing, like, hey, in the church, for example, it would be better if we had a camcorder that was a dynamic camera, and we put it in the back when people start to come in, and then we can just put it into a capture card and get it into the thing. And you were like, okay, yeah, I'll look into it. And then like a day later, seemingly, I mean, it's been over the course of 18 months that you've built and built and built and built and built. But seemingly like a day later, you were like, okay, so this is what I did. I bought like this multiple thousands of dollar cable TV style modem so that we can send things virtually through IP addresses to you on the back end of your modem, and then you'll get the video in, and you can control cameras from wire. And like it's insane how much you did in a short amount of time.
It's sometimes I can fall down the rabbit hole, and I just keep looking and I keep following the trail, and next thing you know, 18 months later, I have, like you said, this big portable studio, which is good and bad because I can look at the clock and it's 3 a.m. and I was like, wow, I really fell down that rabbit hole pretty far. But on the other side of that token, I wouldn't have been able to do this, number one, without the team that I have. Number two, without the sponsors that we have for all of these live streams. The sponsors, they allow me to dream, which is basically what we're doing here. I can go research all this gear and put it together. And it's absolutely amazing because you mentioned the modem, because now when I discovered that, it's from a company called LiveView. They have invented technology to allow individuals and news agencies to stream in full HD. Their newest products, they can stream in 4K, which is amazing, over the cell phone network. It's absolutely amazing. So what that modem does, I have it right here, it's now an integral part of my setup. If I can get it right here. So it has actually 2 cell phone modems on it. And this is actually an encoder as well. Now, an encoder just takes the video and encodes it, just like the name says, into a format that's accepted for live streaming on the internet. Now, this splits up the stream, hold on a second, into 2 separate streams, and it goes to their server. When it gets to their server, it recombines it into one stream and pushes it out to the internet. So we can, if you saw like at Similori Field, they don't have internet there. We're going to see at the high school on the field itself in the sports booth, we don't have internet. So what that allows me to do is stream in the full HD. And we're using some really, really high-end streaming software, which is actually very affordable. Which is fantastic because now all of this gear allows us to compete with the broadcast level of journalism and sports broadcasting, which is fantastic.
This is what I think is insane too. Is that like that modem that you have splits? It splits those 2 things. It sends out 2 streams. It sends it to their server, and it comes back to the latency on that thing. Is nothing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's insane. Yeah. The stream comes to me sometimes, like on the things that you and I do together.
Yeah.
The stream comes to me, and you and I have we use an app that allows us to like essentially talk like walkie-talkies, and as you're talking to me, and then I can hear you through the stream. It's almost instantaneous. And it's like, so it's incredible. It's incredible how fast it works. It's incredible how clear the picture is. It's better than any Wi-Fi we've ever plugged into.
As you know, I don't even use Wi-Fi anymore. It's not reliable. It's either plug in directly, or actually I'm using the modem more and more and more now because it's this pandemic. What it did is so much money got pumped into the live streaming space, and these engineers and inventors went into overtime and just made the gear that they already had better, invented new gear to make it even easier. It's absolutely amazing what we can do now. Absolutely amazing.
It's fantastic, and it's so important, like we said, for all of the reasons. And you have done. So, like, we focused on sports a lot, and I want you to go to Westerly.Live, and I want you to watch any of the sports that might interest you, and let your friends and family who have kids in school know, if they don't know already, which they should, that you can watch all of the Westerly sports except for there's one that tennis, right?
Yeah, tennis. We looked into doing that, but getting above the fences, it was more work than it wasn't very feasible. It wasn't going to be efficient. So unfortunately, we can't do tennis at this moment. And track and field, That's just it's too difficult. If anyone's ever watched a track and field event on TV, there are numerous cameras, numerous commentators. There's a lot going on. So logistically, we can't do that right now. And of course, golf. I mean, as much as I'd love to be able to live stream golf, you're looking at miles and miles of cable. You're looking at a camera at every single hole. Logistically speaking, it's just for high school, it's just not possible right now.
Yep. So anyway, okay, let's go back to that though. So you have all of this amazing technology, and we've talked about how important it is for the kids and for the families involved in the athletics at the school. Also, like, you and I have done a ridiculous amount of church work, and that has been very gratifying when it comes to again, like, these older adults who are at home, stuck at home, and able to still be connected to their faith. People that are in different countries and different states around the country who around this country who have been able to connect to, like, their home churches is fantastic. Watch Hill Chapel, we do, and people that that they have guest preachers every week, and the people in their communities in Florida or Michigan or wherever that pastor or priest is from, they get to see their priest at the beautiful Watch Hill Chapel by the ocean on Facebook and on the website. Like, that's insane. And then also these fundraisers, right? Like, you and I have done a lot of fundraisers now.
Yeah, we have one coming up this Friday.
Including one that we're doing this Friday. Mm-hmm. And those, I mean, I had a couple fundraisers last year that made more than the in-person ones ever did. And those were strictly virtual. And now things are going to these hybrid models, like you're saying. There's just so much. There's so many different avenues for all of this stuff. And it's helping. Exactly. But what you're doing, Shane, this is my point, is that it's really helping every aspect of the community. And I just want to commend you for that.
Thank you very much. It's finally, when I hit 40, I finally found something that I love doing. Like anything, you're always going to have those parts of your job that you don't like, but you just get through them as quickly as you possibly can so you can get to what you really do enjoy doing. When I'm producing, like, a sporting event or any event, time just stands still. It stops. And it's amazing. So I wish everyone else out there has found what they truly love to do. It took me a long time. If you haven't, don't give up. You'll find it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the other things that that you offer, I don't know, I say we on this one, at least on this one. I have nothing to do with the sports, but on this one is how much do you love concerts?
I love live music. I didn't know how much I missed going to see live shows until the pandemic hit. Fortunately, we were able to stream many shows from the Phoenix. I was able to get my live music fix. But again, we're going back to that hybrid model. So this is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. There's almost nothing you can't do, Shane, when it comes to any of this stuff. It's fantastic, and it's bringing, I'm going to come out and say, I'm probably going to, like, if the wrong people hear this, I'll get flack for this, but I don't care. In a town that has media companies that are operating in somewhat antiquated ways, that we're, like, I know that you and I both, to different respects at different levels, tried to lovingly nudge into the 21st century. It's wonderful to see this and what you're doing and blowing the door down, busting the door down, whatever the thing that you want to say is, and just going, like, this is it. This is the future. It's here, and it's helping a ridiculous amount of people So I just want to say thank you to that. Is there anything you'd like to say to close?
Yeah, well, thank you for those kind words. And yes, it is tough because I understand. I embrace change. Wasn't always that way, but I do now. And I understand that change can be difficult for a lot of people. Whereas the pandemic forced live streaming onto the public, which was good because it forced people to embrace change. But there's still a lot of people and companies who are going back to the old style of business. You can't go backwards. It's not good. It's detrimental to your business's bottom line. You should not do it. Embracing live streaming is what you really need to do. And I'm talking to the companies out there who still think it's a fringe marketing tool. If you haven't implemented the program, you're now behind the 8 ball. If you did implement it and you stopped using it because you think the pandemic's over, you're going to go back to where you were. So this is here. It's, there's a lot. I do a lot of reading, a lot of blog reading, and the big news outlets, not to say they're nervous or scared, but they're nervous and scared because they're so heavily invested in legacy technology. And when I say that, I mean switchers that fill an entire room, hardware switchers. And honestly, even at that level, the stuff is so expensive that they're in it for the long term. Where you have people like us who can, with a small budget, have extremely high-tech equipment and a small footprint, and we can do the same thing. So the landscape is changing. We can now compete at that level. At that point, it just comes down to marketing, which is a whole nother animal, which we can spend a whole nother show talking about at some point. And also want to mention our wedding live stream platform, ourweddingday.live. Ben, we work together on producing a lot of streams. It's great. We just did one this past Saturday over in Connecticut, and they had people watching in Europe. It was great. So again, people who can't make it to the wedding can now be part of the celebration virtually, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, there's almost nothing you can't do. And embracing the fact that events, the majority of events, especially public events, have almost zero reason to not have a virtual feature now. And then the other thing is that people still are really sleeping on like social media marketing, and like especially locally. Like when we say that people are sleeping on this, like we don't mean people in New York and Chicago and Los Angeles,
Right.
and Toronto. Like it's the people in the small towns and the businesses in the small towns. And I've done a ton of work with the people at the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition, the governor's office, the Department of Labor and Training, the Small Business Association, Shop Local Rhode Island, Commerce, and like the things that are working for people are getting the word out. Like, yes, a lot of people have done a lot of wonderful things and adapted to a lot of wonderful things, but like use some of that ingenuity to meet people where they are, because this is not going anywhere.
Exactly. Yep.
This is not going anywhere. And the more you can complain about people doing this all you want, but it's not changing
anytime soon. It's not changing anytime soon. And I don't care what documentary you watch about social media and the internet. It's not changing anytime soon. You are 100% correct on that. So reaching your audience now is the most cost-effective it's been in human history. It's absolutely amazing, especially at the local level.
Insane.
These tools, these techniques, they work. Yes, they still cost money, but it doesn't cost the amount of money that it used to cost. And just think, 10, 15, 20 years ago, putting a commercial on cable TV was between $5,000 and $10,000. That's honestly, cable TV is kind of going away as well. So things like that have changed, like streaming on the high school sports. We produce full commercials for you. Of course, we have all different pricing packages, but the cost and the barrier to entry has come down considerably in the past 15, 20 years. It's amazing.
I've been doing some consulting work and some side stuff for a car dealership in Massachusetts, and they went from and they're a car dealership that spends a really good amount of money on radio ads, and they advertise on Red Sox games, on Nesson, and all sorts of stuff. They didn't really have a social media presence until March or April of this year. They have consistently, month over month, since the beginning of the year, had their best months ever.
With social media.
Focusing on social media. And by the way, it's not like they took their marketing budget for TV and started, taking like $25,000 a year or whatever, some ridiculously high number, and putting it in. It's like $1,000 a month for a car dealership on ads on social media, and they're having their best months ever.
Because it works. It works. There's so much evidence and proof, myself included. I was able to get where I am right now through social media. That's how I built a blog. It took me 4 years. Now, of course, it does take time. There's two different avenues you can go down. You can throw a lot of money at social media and ads, and you can get there quicker. Or if you do it the organic route, it takes a little longer, but you still get to the same point depending on where you're at. So if you don't have a huge marketing budget, start out with the free. Just post every day on your Facebook page. It's simple. It really is. It's just forcing yourself to get into that routine every single day. There are times where it becomes a drain. It's the human psyche. It's really easy to go on and make a post, but we get into our own heads sometimes and we talk ourselves out of it. And you guys got to keep powering through. It does take time. Or you can hire people like Ben and his new marketing company to do it for you. There's all different kinds of ways you can go.
That's
there you go.
Up in the corner.
Oh, there we go.
Right, that thing.
I forgot everything's mirrored.
Yeah. So, Shane, thank you so much. This has been a wonderful conversation, as I knew that it would be. I'm excited about the school year's sports and everything that you're doing at Westerly.Live. Obviously, everything that you're doing with Nomad is spectacular, though not always as flashy.
Yeah. Sometimes websites are just not flash. Sometimes they're boring, but hey, it is what it is.
They're boring to talk about, at least.
Right? Yeah. Exactly.
They're boring to talk about. They're very hot. They're highly functional. All right, guys, check out Westerly.Live. Shane, thank you so much, and I'm sure that I will talk to you soon, because we do a ridiculous amount of stuff every week together. Thanks,
That's
man.
it. All right, Ben. Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Shane B. from Westerly.Live. Check out all of the sports games for Westerly High School at Westerly.Live every single almost day. Like the whole schedule is there, and on Facebook. Check all of that stuff out. The schedule, I mean, and it's absolutely wonderful. Like I said, there's nothing that's better than accessibility, and I have a friend who is a huge proponent for accessibility. I'll have her as a guest on the show, sometimes sports games are not very accessible for the elderly, for the handicapped, for the family members that would love to see them and be a part of them. And that's the kind of wonderful things. Those are the kind of wonderful things that Shane has enabled to come to this community. And I don't think that he gets anywhere near the credit that he deserves for the amount of work that he's put in this past year and a half, but he and I both know that he's been doing it for a lot longer than that. But it's fantastic. It's fantastic work, and it's really important, and it's really helping a lot of people in our local area and around the world who want to be a part of the things that are happening here, whether that be weddings, church services, concerts, So thank you guys for watching. We will be back. Hopefully, I'm going to do this every single Tuesday. If you have some local businesses, local community members that you think are making a big difference in the area, please leave a comment, let me know, and I will get them on the show and shine a light on them. So thank you and have a great day.